station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, it's 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Tuesday morning. That music and the fact that it's Tuesday means Joe Reichel is somewhere in the neighborhood. He's right here at the table, the big granite table. He's the co-founder of... Good morning, Joe. How you doing?
Wonderful.
Good to see you. Joe is here to answer your questions. If you have something badly damaged in your home, he can come out and look at it. Maybe you got something little. You're going to give it a shot yourself. He can answer some do-it-yourself questions. Joe is one of the owners of Damage Control Services here, providing disaster restoration for those of us who don't know how to do any of that stuff. How you doing?
And new construction. So.
And new construction. Good thing to point out.
Additions, remodeling.
Sorry.
So that was loud.
Sorry. I know, you move one little thing on the microphone. It's
echoing.
Picks up everything.
That was
right?
kind of cool. I liked it.
It was
a little sound effect.
It was that.
Oh, the spring.
The spring does that.
Okay.
And it is spring.
It is. Beautiful day outside.
Do you know what I had the other day?
I have no clue.
I had a letter from a loan company.
Okay.
Asking me if I wanted to borrow a few $1,000s. And I thought, wow.
What would you do with a few $1,000s?
Well, I thought about you.
Okay.
Because I got enough stuff in my house. I could say, that could be fixed. I could make it like a new house again. Mm-hmm. Just a few. It wouldn't take that much, just a few thousand.
Yeah, and that's exactly that right there. You don't really need a disaster to call us, but that's kind of one of the things that we do specialize in is fires and floods and storm tree damage.
Right.
Cars in homes, mold, all types of nasty
cars?
things.
You said cars?
Yeah, every once in a while a car will drive off the road.
Cars in homes. I see what you're saying.
Okay. and into a building. We've done several of those. The Aldi's store, we've repaired them. A couple different commercial buildings. They had a car drive into the building.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We've done several of those.
Somebody who did not want to pay that 25 cents for that shopping cart.
They wanted to take their car right on inside.
Yeah.
So this morning I had a call for I got a call last night. Ended up being a shower leaking. The shower valve leaking down into the wall and then coming out.
Oh, that's not good.
Into the master bedroom. And
oh, that's even worse.
Carpet all wet and the walls were, damp and everything. So it was a little bit of excitement this morning. We went there and set all the equipment up and got it in the process of drying out.
Is that right? I know. I think the one fear that we all have when water is going to an unseen place is that it's going someplace and we won't find it and the wood will rot and something will go wrong in the future.
Right. And that's something that, typically whenever you have a water leak, there will be signs of it because it gradually continues to spread and spread and spread. Unless it's somewhere, that it is getting, down underneath things and you won't see it. We've had several, one claim that we were working on ended up being a mold claim, and the lady had bought some appliances, and when the appliances were hooked up, the new washer, it wasn't, the pipe wasn't, or the water line wasn't screwed on right.
Oh, no.
And so water was going out into the laundry room and then under the wall and into the next bedroom, which was a spare bedroom. She didn't even use it. So, a couple days later, she opens the door and there's water everywhere, and she didn't even know it. So,
oh, wow.
That ended up being a rather extensive mold and water claim.
Yeah, that's another part of that is that if it sits long enough, there will be mold, won't there?
Well, mold under the right conditions, the right circumstances, mold can grow within 12 to 48 hours. So,
wow, I never knew it was that quick.
Yeah, under the right circumstances, the right conditions. So, it is something that if you have a water loss, it's important to get it dried out quickly. The faster you get it dried out, the less damage that you'll have, and the better off you're going to be.
You know, I bought a home. It was brand new, and the carpet was getting wet. And I called the builder. It was I mean, I was in there probably not even a month, and I called the builder, and he asked me, "Are you sure it's not the dog? Are you sure it's not the dog?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm sure it's not the dog." And here's the strange thing: it was in front of the TV. The TV was in front of the wall. On the other side of the wall was the bathroom.
Okay.
So I said, "There's got to be something in the wall that's leaking." And this meant him having to tear out the drywall and looking. And sure enough, it was a copper tube in the wall.
Copper pipe, yeah.
Is that right? Is that how you call it? And tiny little hole spritzing out a little tiny stream of water.
Oh, wow.
But constantly, so that it would definitely... and I was constantly getting the little... what do you call it? Shop vac and pulling the water up out of the carpet.
And that's one thing. I mean, carpet... The pad under carpet will get wet first, and it travels a lot further than, it doesn't saturate the carpet as much. You don't realize how much water is in there, and the padding basically acts as a sponge, so it will suck up, continue to suck up that water until he starts to come up through the carpet. Then, so another thing with that, I mean, like you said, it was in front of the TV, so that was it's not directly right against the wall. A lot of times it goes to the lowest spot. The water will travel to the lowest area before it starts to pond or pool up in a home. Right. So wherever you're finding water may not be where it's coming from.
Same thing with like a stain in the ceiling. Mm-hmm. The roof could be leaking, on the other side.
Yeah, several feet away, or and I mean, we've seen where the water comes through, and it'll be coming through a hole in the shingle or a nail hole or something like that, and it's hitting a truss, and the water's going down a truss to to where it comes out another spot. So, or it'll travel to where a light fixture is, or the ceiling fan, or some sort of a penetration in the ceiling before it starts to come out.
Oh, wow. So how do you? I mean, what, is there a trick to figuring it out where it's coming from?
That's a great question. A leak in a wall or in plumbing of some sort, we'll hire a company that does leak detection. There's several of them in the area, and these guys specialize in finding leaks. They pressurize the lines, and then they're able to, or they have different instruments to hear, listen to where the leaks are in order to fix it or to find it, and then they mark that area. Once the leak is found, then we can, if it's in a wall, we can cut that area out, or we can bust up the concrete if it's in the floor, or whatever we've got to do in order to get to it.
You tell the homeowner that, he's like, "You got to be kidding! Got to bust it up." But best thing to do, right? You got to do it.
Well, we've got one that we just worked on not too long ago. It was a slab leak, and had to tear up the wood floor in order to get to it, and.
Wow. The phone line is active. We do have somebody on the phone, is what I want to say. But before we go to the call, let me just invite everybody so that in case you didn't know, you are welcome and invited to call Joe right now. The number is 622-9622. That is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-WOCA. Okay, thank you for being patient with us. You're on the air with Joe Reichel. Are you there? Good morning.
Hey.
You're on the air. Go ahead.
Morning. This is Bruce. Listen, I had a leak in the wall for some time, and I noticed that it was mildewed a little. And the old plumber, the old years ago, he told me to spray that good with Clorox all up in there. So we did, and after this day, there's no any sign of anything but clean wall. So does Clorox kill off that fungus?
Well, it will to a certain extent. However, here's the deal with that. Clorox bleach is a water-based product. Basically you're trying to kill mold or mildew, which feeds on water with a water-based product. So I would recommend something other than that, like a mildewcide. However, the situation that you're talking about, as long as it's dried out and there's no longer a source of water, or something for that mildew or the mold to feed on, you are going to be okay. as far as not growing anymore. But once it would get wet again, it would just grow, come right back. Bleach typically, or Clorox, it is a surface cleaning product. So once that it's used on the surface, it'll clean the surface, but it doesn't penetrate below the surface. And so there's the reason why you wouldn't want to use a Clorox or a bleach product for mold or mildew.
Okay, now I got a second question for you.
Bring it on.
In the all new homes, they put plastic pipe, hot water, and everything. And in the old homes, we used to have all copper pipe in them.
Right.
And the copper pipe at different times would break underneath the floor. But which is the best to go under the concrete?
Well, that is a great question, and it's pretty much a matter of personal preference. There still are plumbers that use the copper, and there's still certain building specifications that require one over the other. So it really depends on personal choice, really. Both have their possibilities of causing plumbing issues. Copper will, just because of the, just like any other man-made product, it does have imperfections and can cause a leak in spots. And we've had to fix quite a few of those. However, I was talking to an insurance agent down towards the Tampa area, and he was telling me that the vast majority of his claims are all on homes that are built 2002 and newer.
Oh, really?
And pretty much that's when the boom in construction was happening. So everything was being put together fast. A lot of tradesmen were hurrying through jobs, and lots of different products were used that were the rage, or people use them. Just like that CPVC, the plastic pipe. However, that stuff does over time get brittle. And we've seen, we've had jobs where cabinet guys replacing cabinets in homes are pulling out the cabinet, and all of a sudden they break the water line that's coming in the back of the cabinet just by pulling the cabinet away. So, everything has its advantages and its disadvantages. So one over the other, I don't really know. I don't know the answer to that. I've always preferred the copper personally. But, CPVC, the plastic plumbing, is used in lots and lots of homes and lots of construction nowadays. So,
well, you're sure doing a good job, and interesting, nice to listen to. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for the compliment and the questions as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great day.
Well, I've owned a lot of property and a lot of duplexes and commercial property. And I'll tell you what, I've had my leaks between walls, believe me.
I'm sure you have.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And that's the thing. I mean, I got a homeowner ask me, why is this a problem? I said, well, just like anything else, your home requires maintenance.
Everything breaks down.
And something's going to give sooner or later.
Sounds like we want copper if we have a choice, though, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, that's just my opinion, but
Yeah.
I mean, it has its imperfections as well too. And a lot of times, like you were saying, you
obviously.
had a leak in
Yeah.
a copper line, so
Yeah.
you never really know.
Yeah.
You never know.
All right, we do have another phone call. Good morning. Thank you for calling.
Yes, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Say, on new construction now, would you recommend copper in the foundation of a home?
I would, and that's what we use if we're doing new construction. We're always using we use copper. However, there's lots of builders out there that lots and lots of plumbers that use the PVC. So really, it's a matter of personal choice, and like I said, we've had leaks with both, and I don't know that there is one answer to fix all, or to say that you'll never have a problem, because really a lot depends on the materials that you're using, and then the craftsmanship of it being put together, and then two, a lot of times I had a plumber tell me that the different soil types affect your copper So if it's your soil, the different components that the soil will affect that copper. So really, it's hard to say.
Yeah, there was a fellow in our subdivision a few years back. He was building his own home, and he did all of his plumbing in the ceiling in the attic. He didn't want to go into the foundation for all kind of different reasons. And I don't know if he used copper or plastic, but do you see that fairly often where the plumbing goes on top instead of down below?
We a lot of times in homes where they have a problem with plumbing, as far as they're getting leaks, and what they will do is replumb the house. Plumber will decide to take it up into the attic and plumb it that way. That is an easy way to fix it, especially if you're having a lot of leaks with your home, and probably a recommended way of doing it. However, you've got to make sure that those lines are insulated, because that attic gets rather warm up there, and with the water traveling through those lines, if you're wanting cold tap water, you're going to have to let it run a little while if that pipe is not insulated. So that's one of those things where you've got to be, you've got to, that's a consideration to take whenever you want to replumb or plumb the use the attic for plumbing.
Would that be more expensive to do the top side than in the foundation?
I don't really know the answer to that. That's a great question. We'd have to ask Mike Scott Plumbing.
I believe the reason, in conversation with the fellow, why he did it up on top is that he was afraid of ever developing a leak in the foundation, and you got to go up there anyways, and it could be a big problem.
Yes, and that's where we've had slab leaks, plumbing slab leaks, and what we'll do at that point is you've got to tear up the floor and then go bust through the concrete in order to get to it. So that does create an issue. However, if you have a leak and all of a sudden a pipe breaks in your attic, and you've got water coming down through your trusses or through your drywall ceiling, for example. And we had one winter when it got rather cold, we had a refrigerator water supply line that froze in the attic, and a hole, it burst the pipe. Water was spraying down, caused a bunch of the ceiling to fall down, and the water just kept spraying and hitting the cabinets, filled up the cabinet drawers, filled up under the underneath the cabinets, or the lower cabinets was all filled up, and ended up ruining the cabinets. They ended up having to get a new kitchen out of it because of that. So would you say overall you get more life out of a copper than a plastic? And there again, that's a really tough call, because I wouldn't want to say one over the other. I don't know. Once again, that's another question. We'd have to get Sean Scott, Mike Scott Plumbing, answer that question.
Okay, well,
or some plumber, and that's the thing too. Every plumber is going to have their opinion on it. If either of them weren't a good product, they wouldn't be on the market, or you'd have all kinds of recalls. Like the Chinese drywall that was being used in back in, I think it was 2006 time frame. Back about that point, there was a lot of Chinese drywall being used, and it was recalled, and people were having to have their whole house gutted and
that was a huge issue. Yeah,
right.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call.
And if I remember, the problem with that was when it got wet or moist, it emitted a really bad odor.
Yeah, there was a bad odor with it, and it also corroded all of the electrical components in the home. So people's TVs, the refrigerator, all of the electrical equipment, and the wire lines, the wire going to your outlets, everything was
No, I was under the impression that at least in Florida, most of that was down in South Florida. Did you have much of it here? No.
We didn't have too much of it here, and I believe there was a few cases in the Gainesville area, but
oh, really?
Most of it was South Florida.
And there was a settlement to help pay for that. I don't remember who forked over the money, but
yeah, I don't remember.
It was long. It was in the news
either.
All the time. It was in the news. Yeah.
It became a real big issue. 2008, 2009, and 10. That was when everybody was getting they were getting it replaced.
Do you know? I didn't ever smell what it smelled like, but it must have for it to be that bad and that much of a what do you want to say? An epidemic,
right?
I mean, it must have been horrible. Whatever it smelled like.
Well, and there again, everybody is sensitive to different odors.
Right.
What bothers me might not bother you, or vice versa.
Nothing bothers me really.
And that's a good thing. But and that's what people ask me about. Like mold, for example. Mold does have an odor, but I'm not very sensitive to it. Whereas some people are very sensitive to it, and it causes sickness in a lot of people. So, really, that's one of those things where it really depends on you and what you are allergic to, if it's going to affect you or not. But yeah, the going back to that Chinese drywall, that did have a rather toxic smell to it, I guess.
And I don't mean to throw another question at you that might be better addressed to the plumbers out there, but when we talk about do-it-yourself projects,
right? In
my mind, if I have a pinhole in a pipe, whether it's copper or PVC, I think I'd rather let a professional do it, because I'm imagining that I couldn't patch it effectively. I mean, what would I put on it? Like silly putty or something? What would I do?
And that's the thing too. I mean, there's a lot of people that are skilled in fixing things, and a homeowner might feel they're able to do it. If you're going to have an insurance claim, though, if you have an insurance claim, your insurance is going to pay for that to be taken care of.
Professionally.
Yeah,
right.
The only thing you'll have to do is submit a bill from the plumber in order to take care of it.
Okay.
So you'd want someone to take care of it.
I would.
That knows what they're doing as a professional.
I wonder if, from their perspective, the plastic is easier than the metal. As far as patching a hole, I wonder.
Well, I mean, you'd have to cut out the area and put a new piece in either way.
Oh, okay. So you don't patch at all?
No.
Okay, I didn't know that. All right, you have a phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Joe Reichel.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing this morning?
Wonderful.
2008, I think that's when we had the hurricanes, isn't it?
2004.
2004 and 5.
Yeah, right, all the hurricanes. That's when my house was being built, so it took a little while to have it done. But anyway, the plumbing in there is actually pretty good. What I did notice is, how you usually have a valve to turn off the water and the toilet, and they have on my house, they have like a push-pull system. And I've never seen that before, and it seems to be pretty good because I haven't had any leaks at all. I don't know if you've seen that before.
I'm not familiar with that, a push-pull system. I know most of them have that where you turn it in order to turn it off.
Mike Scott did the plumbing.
Well, then
and,
they do quite a bit of plumbing in the county, and they're a very good and very well-known plumbing company. So if they did it, I'm sure it's a good job.
It's just a different type of system.
Right.
I've never had to mess with it. It's never leaked, so I wouldn't even know how to replace that, because normally, it's like you say, there's a valve that you turn off and on.
Right.
And I know the ones outside my house notorious for leaking.
Oh, okay. The hose bibs?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, those are
inside the house. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, typically, I mean, if you have a leaking hose bib, that's a relatively easy fix. Plumber can take that apart and fix it pretty easily. So, if it's a leaking hose bib.
Now, the ones outside, if you had to replace the whole bib, the whole section,
right?
Now that's not glued on, right? You just unscrew it.
Typically, those are screwed on, I believe. And then too, it depends, what type of, do you have a stucco house or is it a...
It's a cement, block house.
Block house? That should be, those hose bibs should be screwed on, so you'd be able to, turn off the water, drain what water's in the house, and then unscrew that. But, a lot of times they can even fix that the existing hose bib and not have to replace the whole thing. They can repack it, they call it, I think.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thanks for the call.
All right. Really good show today. Wow.
Time flies.
I know. That's the only problem with
Time flies when you're talking damage control.
Sure does. So how do we get a hold of you?
If you've got a question, a problem, or just want to say hi, I guess you call me 352-817-6574. That's my direct line. Or you can email me, joe@damageflorida.com.
You ever get that? Somebody just call and say, can I speak to Joe?
Just calling to say hi. No, I have had homeowners call me after the show, and they had a question. They didn't get a chance to call in, and they had a question. Tomorrow I've got to go see a lady that called in after the last week's radio show and look at a possible issue that she might have. So.
Oh, really?
Nothing huge, thankfully.
Well, you're out there fixing homes. That's a good thing.
Making lives better.
Yeah, exactly right. That's the real mission, isn't it?
That's it.
All right. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Larry.
I always appreciate you coming in here and doing this. We will take a little break and be right back.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
ABC News Now. I'm Karen Chase. Malaysia has narrowed the search for a downed plane to an area the size of Alaska in the southern Indian Ocean. But China is demanding that Malaysian officials hand over the satellite information they used to shrink the target area. A nor'easter is winding up for another shot at the East Coast. The storm could dump more than a half foot of snow in southeastern Massachusetts, where a blizzard watch is in effect. First Lady Michelle Obama spoke to school children in remote corners of China by satellite, telling them education can help them beat the odds and succeed, no matter what their race, religion, or ethnicity. Judge Joe Brown was tossed in jail in Tennessee for a courtroom rant that had nothing to do with his show. He was representing a woman in a child support case in Memphis when the judge cited him for contempt for challenging his authority. The judge said Brown nearly caused a riot. 4 men accused of parachuting off One World Trade Center in New York last fall have been arraigned on charges of burglary and reckless endangerment. Police call their actions lawless, selfish, and a clear danger to the public. This is ABC News.
If you're a conservative American over 50, then please listen to this important message. Hi, friends. Fran Tarkenton here. Let me tell you about an organization fighting to protect our country from the destructive liberal policies threatening our great nation. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, with over 1 million members and growing, serves as a strong conservative alternative to the left-leaning AARP. Over the years, I'd become increasingly distrustful of the AARP and its liberal agenda, but their support for Obamacare was the last straw. As a football player, I understood that in order to win, you have to keep fighting. Well, AMAC not only shares my conservative beliefs, but they also share that same willingness to fight to protect those beliefs for generations to come. You deserve better than AARP. AMAC is better. Better for you. Better for America.
Join AMAC today to receive exclusive benefits and discounts. Call 888-950-AMAC or go to teamamac.us to become a member. Call 888-950-AMAC or go to teamamac.us.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Life jackets save lives. Wear it, Florida. A little rain early this morning, otherwise breezy with clouds giving way to a brightening sky. High 74 to 77. Mainly clear, breezy, and much colder tonight. Low 42 to 50. Mostly sunny, cool, and less humid tomorrow. High 66 to 70. Thursday, mostly cloudy with a couple of showers. High 75 to 78. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Steve Travis.
This is a public notice. Local residents can now save thousands of dollars on their next car, truck, or SUV. It's not a tent sale, because no tent is big enough to hold this many cars. It's OcalaForSale.com. Say goodbye to sticker shock. OcalaForSale.com has thousands of vehicles with no stickers at all. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and